Got two games tonight. And what's interesting is, I always like it when scheduling does this, they're four original six teams. So we can kind of go back in time and remember the good old days. And for Toronto and New York, you have to go back a ways. For New York, it's 1994. Remember that? That was great. And I know there was a Stanley Cup final run with King Henrik at the helm. But for Toronto, you got to go back to 1967. And I've started hearing this again lately, the 1967 talk. And it has to be driving players and management insane as well, because a lot of these players and most in management not around in 1967, not around with the Toronto Maple Leafs for most of this disaster that it's been for the last 50 plus years. So they're just the latest to get the mantle from it. And tonight, with a record of 28, 18 and 7, and 22 regulation wins, I might add, since that's the tiebreaker to get into the playoffs. Over their last 10, they're 4-4 and 2. So they lost their last game, and that means everything's on fire. Everybody's going to die. This is how it works. They win a game, and it's like, all right, they're back. They lost a game. Quick, burn everything. New York, 25. I know people are going to say that's Vancouver. We only do that in the Stanley Cup final, not during the regular season. You got to save it for when it's special. The Rangers, 25, 22, and 4 overall. They also have 22 regulation wins. So that's the interesting thing. Both teams have 22 regulation wins over their last 10. The Rangers are 6 and 4. These teams have met twice. This is their third and final meeting. December 20th, the Toronto Maple Leafs went into New York and won 6-3. December 28th, the New York Rangers went into Toronto and won 5-4 in overtime. And that was a really back and forth game that was crazy, and I expect that again tonight. I expect a lower score because we had 9 goals in both of the first 2 games between these teams, and they don't defend very well, so I expect it to be a little different tonight. Now, I just went with noteworthy scorers from each team. Nylander, 25 goals, 23 assists, 48 points. Anytime Toronto is not a winner in a game, Nylander seems to be a lightning rod. And whether it's people criticizing his defense or criticizing his lack of intensity, there's a lot there. And then Nylander came out after the Florida game and said, I'm not worried, nothing to worry about, it's not a big deal. And so the perception is, so he doesn't care. And so that's out there. And if it was Taves saying it, they go, look how cool and calm he is, but because it's Nylander, right? Barry, 5 goals, 26 assists. He's been fantastic since the new coach took over. Kapanen, 10 goals, 19 assists, 29 points. I assume he will be on time for all practices going forward. And Spezza, 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points. He's been better since Sheldon Keefe took over as well. Or should I say he's been given more of a chance. Now, on the Rangers front, Strome, 12 goals, 32 assists, 44 points. It feels like he's cooled off lately when it comes to the scoring side of things, but still an excellent season he's had. Kreider, 18 goals, 17 assists, 35 points. We'll see if he's in the lineup tonight. I haven't gone through the news articles yet for the morning. I would assume he's not far away. Buchnevich, 10 goals, 18 assists, 28 points. I always expect more with Buchnevich. Eventually, I think it'll show up, that offense that we're waiting on. Brady Shea, 7 goals, 14 assists, 21 points. I'm a big fan of Brady Shea. I think he's a good defenseman. And I think he's capable of more points as well. The interesting thing is, they're not a team that has struggled when it comes to scoring goals, those Rangers. Neither is Toronto. Toronto scores 3.58 goals for per game. They allow 3.25, which is the highest number on the board. And that is a major problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hutchinson will be the starting goaltender tonight. Discuss amongst yourselves, Leafs fans, how you feel about that. They're number 5 in power play with a 24.8% efficiency rating. They're 25th in penalty killing with 77%. And their shots against per game, they're 23rd in the National Hockey League with 32.3. So they're allowing 32.3 shots per game. Just the defensive numbers have always been kind of troubling with Toronto. On the Rangers side of things, they're scoring at a rate of 3.25 goals per game. They're allowing 3.22 goals per game. So that's why they're basically 500. Shesterkin is the starting goaltender tonight. So you've got a young goaltender on his way up. Teams fans are excited. And Hutchinson at the other end of the rink where Leafs fans are a little nervous. Number 7 on the power play, the Rangers, with a 23.5% rating. Their penalty kill is 22nd at a 78.1% rating. Shots against per game, they're 30th with 34 even per game against them. So that's an area the Rangers would love to improve. That being said, Moving along, the Boston Bruins, 32-10-12 overall. They have 29 regulation wins, as long as it doesn't go to overtime, right? That's only 3 after 60 minutes, and they've lost 12 games after 60 minutes. So don't go to overtime if you're the Bruins. And they even asked last night, there was an interview during the Canucks game where I'm trying to think which member of the Bruins was being interviewed. I want to say Heinen, about or it might have been Coyle. Anyways, they asked him. They said, "What's your secret to, all this winning you've been doing?" He said, "Don't go to a shootout." Last 10 games, they're 7-2-1. They've won 4 in a row. So it's been a nice run for Boston. This game starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific in Chicago. The Blackhawks, 25-21-7. They have 18 regulation wins this season. In their last 10, they're 6-3-1. Last night, they lost in overtime against the Minnesota Wild. They're going to be looking to bounce back from that. These teams met December 5th in Boston. That was a 4-3 win in overtime for the Chicago Blackhawks. And again, anytime it's an original 6 matchup, it's kind of a fun thing to see. 4 notables for each team. Marchand, who had a goal last night, 23 goals, 46 assists, 69 points. He may very well get to 100 points again this year. Charlie Coyle with that goal last night, now at 10 goals, 19 assists, 29 points. And McAvoy, who's not allowed to have a goal this year, he now has 19 assists on the season. And Carson Kuhlman, a guy that gets kind of lost in the shuffle. Pretty good depth guy for the Bruins, proving that right now. 14 games, 1 goal, 4 assists for Kuhlman, and he's one to keep an eye on. Now, Chicago, Taves, 14 goals, 30 assists for 44 points. He's had a very good season. Gustafsson, 6 goals, 19 assists for 25 points. He's picked it up lately. Nylander, 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points. Still figuring it out. And Ryan Carpenter, 2 goals, 11 assists, 13 points. It was about 2 years ago I did the video on Carpenter and how he went to Vegas, and he was the latest in Vegas's reclamation projects. It was working out pretty well. And now he's a 4th liner in Chicago. And this is how hockey works. You're an overnight sensation, and then it's kind of just you go back to where you were. He's kind of gone back to where he was when he was with San Jose. Now, the Boston Bruins score 3.35 goals per game. They allow 2.41 goals against per game. That is the best in the league. And Yarrow Halak is going to be the starter tonight. Rask started last night. The Chicago Blackhawks are scoring 2.96 goals per game. That is the lowest number on the board. They're allowing 3.06 goals against per game, which interestingly is less than the Rangers or the Maple Leafs. Might be faint praise there, though. Leonard will very likely be the starter. Crawford started last night. I would think you start Leonard here. Now, the number 2 power play in the league belongs to the Bruins. They're at 26.8%. Don't look now, but they are threatening to potentially be number 1. Number 3 penalty kill at 84.5%. Their special teams have been fantastic. They're number 11 in shots against per game at 30.7, which is the best number on the board. Chicago, their power play is 29th with 15%. I've talked about this before. You have Kane, you have Taves, you have Strome, you have DeBrincat. I don't understand how their power play is as poor as it is. Penalty kill's pretty good. They're number 7 in that area with an 82.7% rating. Shots against, they're worst in the league. Number 31. 35.3 shots against per game. Crawford and Leonard have been absolutely under siege in many, many games for the Chicago Blackhawks. So there you go. You guys are all set up for tonight's games. Let me know your winners in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support as we hit another Wednesday. And another fun Wednesday it shall be. Thanks for all the support you guys have shown me. I will talk to you again soon.